Hello, this is the 44th lecture of the Semantic SEO course. In this lecture, we will talk about the microsemantics together with the supplementary content and the answer formats or the paragraph formats. As you know, on this section, we always use the paragraph, and here we have a paragraph, here we have another paragraph, and another paragraph structured. We could answer all these questions in different formats, but we should always use the correct format of the answer on the most relevant web page, so that we can directly signal the search engines that in our website, the most relevant web page for this specific query is the one that has the most comprehensive answer in the correct format. This is a little bit about passage indexing and the candidate answer passage scoring. If we have 5 web pages that answer the specific question or the variations of that specific question, and let's assume that we ask the question of what are the benefits of drinking a gallon of water every day, and the variations sometimes might be like a bottle of, or 5 bottles of, or 9 cups of. As long as we have these type of questions, one of them will be actually a representative question, the other ones will be the variations or the represented ones. And in this case, let's assume that we answer this question or its variations 5 times in different web pages. But sometimes we answer it from here, sometimes in this part, and sometimes here, and let's say sometimes here, and sometimes just in this area. So basically, when the search engine looks at your website, the first thing that they will try to understand is when this specific question appears in the macro context and in the main content. So if this is the main content area, they will try to understand how many times it appears in the supplementary content or in the, let's say, main content, and how many times that specific query context appears directly in the macro context specification section. If you look at my contextual search SEO case study, you will see the concepts like context sharpening and context deepening and specifying, and we are trying to do that even with the format of the answer. So basically, if you look at in these areas, only these 2 closely related pages actually can be the ones who use the first right format. And when we look at here, as we say, only one of them actually can target this query network. So in this case, this one will need to be slightly different than this one, because here we give the answer a little bit later than here. In one of the rules in, let's say, Corai's framework is do not delay the answer and cut the fluff out. So in this case, actually, we will be using the specifically correct format, whether it is a table, whether it is a list, whether it is just a main comparison paragraph, or whether it is a kind of exact definitive answer. The correct format will need to be used in this area. If we have a search demand for closely related variations of this specific query network, or if we have a closely related context for other related entities to this one, we can give a slightly different answer, or we can give a variation of this answer in this area too. Now still, it won't have the directly correct format. You can even see these type of things inside credit calculation websites, insurance websites, or any kinds of finance websites too. If I ask you what are the types of mortgages, let's say, you will need to give different types of answers according to the title of the web page. If I directly talk about the mortgages, you can even give 10 different types. But if I am using actually a web page for explaining the statistics, in this case, you don't need to give all the types. You can just give the main types, because the main context there, macro context there, is not the mortgage types, it's the mortgage statistics. According to that, you will need to filter certain aspects in your answers. For instance, all these can be actually paragraphs. When it comes to these two, this can be a list, table, or different types of other paragraph formats that we try to increase our relevance further. And this can be a kind of mix for all of them, but we don't have to give all of the answer in this area too. Another thing is that the purpose of this approach is giving the correct and the most comprehensive, accurate, and the richest answer in the correct web page. Because once we have a query like this, let's assume this is the query, The thing that the search engine will try to do is calculating a distance, a relevance from all these pages to this specific query. And whichever has the highest relevance, they will assume that that answer will need to be ranked in this area. If you are getting featured snippet-like answers from the correct web page that carries this query context in the macro context, it is good. But imagine that the macro context here is entirely different and you are giving the best answer in this area, which means that you won't be able to rank properly. That's why here we use paragraph, but when we look at or when we go to this specific content brief, you will see that we will be using different type of a paragraph format or more details or properly structured content. So in our content briefs, usually we have two types of content actually. One of them is, of course, the structured language content. The other one is prose type language content. In the Google Patterns, you can directly see actually two types of score. Structured language score and the prose type language score. Usually, if you are able to get higher scores for both of them from the correct web page, you will be able to rank higher. But as I say, I won't dive into the theories that much. Basically, that's why I have used paragraphs in these areas. So in the future lecture, we will look at the other content briefs, and then we will start to check the articles, and we will compare articles to the content briefs together to see how we actually put these things into ranking web pages and the websites. Thank you.